Hey guys, my name's Khadroth, and today I'm going to be talking to you about servant coins. This is another video that I've been holding off on making for a long time, primarily because I wanted to give the devs time to fix it. In fact, as of the Anni 7 interview, Mr. Chu has gone on the record as having said they are aware of the coin issue and they do have a plan by which to fix it, but they don't know how they're going to do it yet. They haven't actually solidified that. So again, maybe as of now they have. They didn't mention it at all. It was never on any part of the JP survey that just happened, so it certainly could be something that they already know what the fix is and they'll be implementing it, soon, TM, but we'll see. My big issue with this is, while yeah, they've said that they kind of know about it and that they've said that they will fix it, they haven't any idea how they're going to, apparently, as of, again, something like 8 months ago. So the problem I have with this at this point is that they should have known how to fix it not 8 months ago when they made that statement. They should have known how to fix it literally before they ever implemented it. In fact, going back for a little bit of history here, when servant coins were introduced at Anni 6, in that very first week there, I made two very clear observations with the servant coin and append system. Number one was that, hey, there is clearly room in the UI for there to be a fourth and a fifth append. If you don't believe me, go look at it yourself. It's still there. It's certainly a possibility in the future, but they need to fix servant coins before they ever address something like that. The second observation that I made was that there were not enough servant coins, and this was going to cause issues, and they were going to have to fix it. And so I started coming up with ways to fix it. This was 1 week after the launch of the servant coin system on JP as of Anni 6. So by Anni 7, the fact that the devs finally addressed it and didn't have an idea about how to fix it yet, that's kind of ridiculous. So let's give them an idea. So again, servant coins are basically what you guys are going to get whenever you bond up your servant or whenever you roll copies of your servant. On screen, you guys are going to see the chart from Fandom detailing the amount of coins that you guys will gain depending on the rarity as well as the type of servant. So not just, 3-star, 4-star, 5-star, but also, again, you're going to see it on 1s and 2 stars with your FP and stuff like that. You're also going to see the permanent 3 stars there as well. And then certainly story locked and limited can have a different effect on this. The real problem that we have, and I often talk about servant coins from a sort of SSR perspective here with the 90 coins, because that's sort of the easiest equivalent to talk about. I've had numerous people tell me over time, well, Cad, the issue is that it's even worse with the 4 stars and 3 stars and so on and whatnot. They're right. It is, but that's exactly why I use the 5-star as the bare minimum, because the 5-star is the best case scenario. You need the least amount of coins to make a 5-star maxed out compared to a 4-star or a 3-star. So that becomes a little bit of an issue. Now, again, that's how you guys are going to get your servant coins, is from bonding or bonding or rolling them. But what they ultimately do is they're going to be what allows you guys to actually grail up your units to 120, and they're also going to be what allows you guys to unlock your appends for leveling. The issue with that is, again, those two systems were put in the game as of Anni 6 to provide goals to the player base, to give their more veteran, long-term players something to do, because a lot of those players had, quote-unquote, gotten done with the game. It doesn't mean that every single player had. Certainly people that were still playing the game were working on all of their account and taking their sweet time leveling stuff up and working on things. But certainly some of the higher end, upper echelon whales and stuff like that had ground the crap out of the game and had already finished everything that they could possibly do. So implementing new systems by which to attract them certainly worked out. In fact, that is one of the criticisms of the overall append and coin system, is that it is whalish. I will say this. It certainly isn't. In fact, I would argue that, especially with regards to the mana loading append, this is probably the best thing that free-to-plays had gotten for a long time in the game prior to like pity and stuff coming out. It was absolutely a huge leap forward in their capability for their accounts, as it allowed a lot of them to work with just a single K scope instead of having to have a super scope, instead of having to have MLB of a K scope in order to actually start from 100%. Even from there, it certainly allowed a lot more characters to start operating from a lesser standpoint. Again, especially in the new Buster system that came out around that same time. So this is one of the big deals for them, is that, yes, while the system did certainly lend itself to whalishness, it is not totally Whaley. You could certainly take advantage of it in certain spurts. But I think the problem that a lot of players get caught up in is they try to maximize their favorite servant. They try to take their best servants, get them to 120, get all of their appends unlocked. And that is where a big problem comes in. Because if these are goals meant to give players something to do, something to look forward to, something to occupy their time and keep them playing, it utterly fails as a system in that regard when you can't participate in the system. So the fact that you don't have enough servant coins to actually be able to embark upon these goals sort of defeats the purpose of them. And that's something I pointed out right away there in the first week. And that's something that they have to address long term, because if they actually want to keep players playing long term, they have got to allow players to participate in these new systems. Now then, again, I think the chief issue at play here with this is that you just simply don't get enough coins from summons. That in and of itself wouldn't be the worst issue, provided you actually had other sources of the coins. And you do, and one of those sources is Bond. Now, I have seen one of the proposed solutions here to be Bond 20, that they could allow you to instead go even further beyond Bond 15 and get even more coins. That certainly is a solution that would work. The problem that I have with it is that it ultimately just gates everything again. One of the big issues I talked about in a prior video here was with the rare prisms and your accessibility to bond grails. So if you don't have enough bond grails getting given out in a free-to-play nature, if you don't have rare prisms that the again sort of cheap to play and more free-to-play players can actually get, then you're not going to be able to buy the bond grails. You're not going to be able to reach bond 20, and it's going to become a huge issue even then. You will still feel gated. You will still feel locked out of the system. So while that is a proposed solution, that's not one that I think is really going to be a good idea. So certainly I'm going to say not having enough on rolling is one of the big issues. The other issue there is that because of this, people are feeling the need to roll beyond NP5 of a unit. Now, I think this makes a little bit more sense for something like a 3-star, where, yeah, you're probably going to be getting hordes of them anyways if they're actually on rate up. But I don't think this makes a whole lot of sense for 4 stars and 5 stars. This is a lot of money potentially that you would be spending in order to get this done. Even if you're not spending it, if you're a free-to-play or someone like that, and you're trying to roll NP6 of an SSR, or again, even up to like NP10 of an SR, it's really not in your favor to actually do that if you know that the devs are going to fix the system. So this creates this weird sort of like pursuit of perfection that doesn't actually need to be there. I've actually talked about this quite a bit, that it's kind of similar to people feeling the need to actually like perfect their artifact in Genshin. You really don't need this in a lot of ways, but people view it as a necessity because they want that completionist aspect. In a lot of cases, the third append for a unit is not actually that good, and so the result that this is it's causing people to actually spend money to spend their hard-earned valuable gacha currency on actually trying to get an extra copy beyond what they actually need. So I feel like because the game is centered around having either 1 to 5 levels of an NP, and you don't really gain any actual benefit for going beyond 5, this creates a very scummy look for the game and the devs. Causing their player base to actually try to roll beyond this is not a good look for them. And while maybe they're not the ones telling us to do that, they have to be aware that it is causing that reaction from the players, because they're making more money off of it. So surely they know. That being said, like I said, it's not helping their reputation at all. And it makes it very hard to say like, oh yeah, the game is free to play friendly and stuff like that, whenever, you know, people start talking about having to roll for NP6 or higher of a unit. That definitely becomes an issue. Now, the other issue that I'd say that we have here too is that your welfare units are not getting them. So certainly you have your newer welfares and units that have come back as a welfare via a rerun since the release of servant coins that have gotten coins given to them. They're perfectly fine. They actually get, I believe it's up to 660 coins, so they're okay in that regard. Again, I may be wrong on that number because I don't remember if they adjust for bonding. I believe they actually do, where the amount that you get from bond, you still have to get on your own. But still, the whole point is those welfares are fine. They have the coins given to you that you would possibly need in order to min-max your unit. And I'm okay with that. The issue here, though, is that not all welfares have gotten those. Particularly, you have some units that already have a main interlude, like I believe it is Altera the Sunta, her archer form, as well as OG BB. Both of those two already had their main interlude prior to servant coins coming out, and do not have servant coins as a result of that. So the devs have not actually gone back to give them coins, even though their main interlude is just permanently there and purchasable by the player base. Furthermore, then you have the issue of even older welfares that have not had their main interlude not having coins either. So if some of those are someone's favorite unit, let's take Nagao Kagatora for example. If someone really likes her and wants to invest in her and get her up to 120, good luck, you basically can't. There is not enough coins out there from bonding in order to make that possible. Because since you don't get the coins per copy for actually having the welfare, all you get is bond coins, and as a result it's not enough to really do anything with them. So my heart goes out to those sorts of people, because they are just permanently locked out until some sort of change gets made. So what then can the devs do in order to actually fix things? We already talked about one solution there with bond 20, and that certainly is a thing, but honestly, like I said, that's probably the worst case solution because of how locked down that would be. Some of the easiest solutions that I can think of are basically to put coins in event shops. You could basically sit there and categorize your coins by either making an all type coin for all of them, where like, hey, you have a coin that works on every servant. Or you could even do it and break it down just like you had with sort of your embers, where you maybe have class-based coins, right? And then maybe you still have an all coin to cover your extra classes, maybe to cover up for some of the other deficiencies that you might have trying to get coins for another class as well. But that would allow you to slowly work towards getting your units finished off, particularly the big units that you know and love. That's going to increase your enjoyment to the game. You're going to be able to actually max out your unit, feel that completion, and then basically be able to show it off to all of your friends. The problem here, though, is certainly if they're not running a lot of events for a period of time, players are going to be sitting there going, oh crap, you know, maybe I'm not getting enough inflow here to actually work on the units I want. Similarly, you could also have issues if you start trying to story lock events behind later lost belts and such, because then players are going to have a hard time getting that completion in order to actually unlock the event and do that. Now, granted, that's already been an issue overall with the game, so that is what that is. But yes, I think you would find players would not have access then to actually get the coins and be missing out on them. Still, I'm not too worried about that, because if you're a player that hasn't gotten that far yet, you really shouldn't be working too hard on like grailing units to 120 and stuff like that. You should be focusing instead getting all of your resources necessary to actually complete the story and get caught up. But it is a concern nonetheless. Another way that they could do it is, again, take that all coin, take that class coin type of system and throw that into training grounds. Yes, the one Chaldea Gate daily that pretty much all the veterans would agree don't really do anymore. We all still occasionally will do Ember Gathering, maybe even QP at a certain point, but there is a point in everybody's account where they basically have enough statues, have enough gems, and they basically stop doing training grounds. So if they were to actually put servant coins into the training grounds, one, that would sort of gate you by way of each day and having to wait through the rotation to get the class that you actually needed. But two, it would also provide a steady source of that and allow you to slowly work on the units that you want. You would certainly get people in there popping apples, popping quartz, going crazy trying to do it. So maybe that wouldn't be the best solution, because I guarantee you some of those same whales that they're trying to keep playing the game would immediately flip that switch and get done with the game because of that. They would min-max all of their appends. They would get every single append on every single unit to 999 and then just put the game on pause and not do it. Granted, they can't be too concerned about a player like that in the long term, because there are just going to be people that will naturally do that no matter what system you put into the game. Still, Another way that they could do it would be lotto boxes. This is the one that I've seen a lot of people actually request, a lot of people actually hope for. They could certainly do that by stuffing an altcoin or something like that into a lotto box. And then, crap, they could still temper this. I would say this is going to be along the lines of similar to Training Grounds, where it's not totally gated. It is somewhat, but not totally, because you'd have to wait for a lotto, but then people would go insane. There's already people that do hundreds, if not thousands, of boxes out there every single time a lotto comes around. So while it does work, yes, you would still also get the same issue where people would just grind out so many of them that they would eventually be done. Granted, you could tailor this by keeping the amount of coins low. For instance, you could literally put one altcoin in every single lotto box. And if you did that, it would take someone still at least like 120 boxes in order to unlock a new append. So the good part about that is it would keep the system having an out. It would allow you to work on your favorite unit, but you certainly wouldn't get done with all the units in the game without just going absolutely crazy in a lotto. So it would give you a path forward, a path to free up your units, but it would make it so that you wouldn't have to necessarily roll more copies of a unit. So in that case, you could literally tell people, hey, just wait for the next lotto, grind out some boxes, then you can finish off your unit's append, then you can get your unit to 120, whatever that may be. And again, it could certainly go higher than 1 coin per box. That's just what I'm trying to say, is like they could restrict it down to that much and still keep it so that the devs have a way of making the process take a while, but giving the players an actual path forward, giving them a way by which they can grind and play their game and still feel like they're accomplishing things without making it so that they're having to actually throw money at the game or use their hard-earned currency trying to roll beyond 5 copies of a unit. So again, let me know what you guys think that they can do to fix servant coins. I think there's plenty of possible solutions out there, but I'll be sure to read the comments. Also, don't forget to check me out weeknights on Twitch at 7 p.m. Eastern, where I always start with FGO. I'll see you guys for the next video. Have a good one.